Back to another episode of the Sonday School Podcast. That's S-O-N. We ain't doing no sun god worshiping over here.
Nope.
No, not at all. We're talking about the Son of God, the Son of David, the Son of Man, his only begotten Son, and the Son who died and rose again. Tap in with us. And down here on earth in God's classroom, we might not be able to teach you everything, but we all can learn together. And that's what this atmosphere is for. So welcome in again. We are your hosts. My name is Devon. This is Mike.
Yep.
And let's get to it. And we thought we'd have a little something laid back today, a little get to know us a little bit. And because, again, we're talking about Sunday school, so I did want to take the time for us to talk about how we came to God, what was our journeys, and how we made it here. So I'm going to toss it to Brody over here. You know what I mean? How'd you come to get to know God?
It's not a very exciting story, but
Anyway, let them decide.
Hey, I'll share. I come from a family of people who, like most Southern African-American people, right? They come from people who were like staunch churchgoers. Mm-hmm. My grandfathers on both sides were both Baptist deacons. My grandfather on my father's side became a minister. So I've always kind of had that upbringing. I was baptized at the age of 6. Really didn't understand what I was, getting into. My daddy went up there. I went up there with him. Got baptized at 6.
Got dipped.
Got dipped straight up. And then, maybe didn't really go to church a lot from like 6 to about 11, 12. And for some reason, I kind of start wanting to know more about the Bible. Mm-hmm. And one of my great uncles, Ray Davis.
Was that at 12? You started there?
Around like 11, 12.
Okay.
I spent a lot of time with them. My father was very close to my his aunt and uncle, my great aunt and uncle. Mm-hmm. And he was a deacon at the church I go to now. And I would see him like so interested in what he was doing. He was always at the church doing stuff. Mm-hmm. Super nice guy. I didn't let many things bother him. And I mean, like most families, right? A lot of stuff goes on, but I never see him razzled or just kind of like just out of it. He always kind of kept a calm demeanor about him. And it was just something that kind of intrigued me. My grandfather, the same way. He's a strong man, but a man of few words. Never really razzled, never he just always kind of kept that strong energy. I'm calm. I know who's in control. Right. So, those two men are really the reasons why, I came to, or at least wanted to know more about Christ. Also my grandmother, obviously, big mama, granny, what we called her, was a strong woman of faith, prayed all the time for the family. Her and my grandfather always did Bible studies when they were ill at home, couldn't go. They did their own thing. And I saw oh, y'all not really just doing this church thing because it's something to do. Right. Y'all really believe this. Right. And around the age of 11, I asked my uncle Ray, my great uncle, if it was okay if he would, I can go to church with him. Oh. Right. And obviously, right. Of course he said, yeah, come on. And I start going, kind of reconnected, start going back through in the Baptist church, we got what's called a new members class. Yep. Yep. Where you basically learn the tenets of what the Baptist or that church specifically believes, what they don't believe, what they do, the assurances of salvation and all these things, which are, helpful for a new believer. And after that, man, just kind of never look back. I've been at the same church since the age of 6. Really since the age of 11, kind of really going every Sunday for the most part. Had some highs and lows. But yeah, I mean, coming to Christ has been the best thing that's ever happened to me. It's the best thing. I've experienced a lot of loss and things happen in my life, but it's really my faith in Christ that has kind of kept me going and kept me with a positive perspective, because I know he's the one that, basically is in control of everything. And if I continue to trust in him, I know I can make it, So, but yeah, I mean, coming to Christ has been great. Wouldn't change it. But yeah, that's like basically my story. It's not like I wasn't on drugs. I wasn't strung out, you know, and the Lord, you know, appeared to me from the cloud. And
Okay.
I don't have that story. That's not my, testimony. I'm grateful for those who have that. But yeah, it was just really my upbringing. My parents, like they were all both raised in that, but growing up, they didn't go to church. But, it was interesting that God used me as a catalyst to kind of bring them in. So once they saw my interest in church, and I guess it did help that my future wife was at church and I liked her from a child.
Hey.
So that kind of kept me going too. But
got it. Yeah.
at the same time, they saw how I was interested in it. And then eventually my mother started coming, ended up, reconnecting and rededicating her life back to Christ, started becoming a member of the church. Then after that, my father came, right? And my father was a guy I grew up in the church, but, he was not churchy. He was a curseologist. I mean, he that was my guy, but man, he had a word. Not a good word, but a word for you. It could come up with some stuff. But, he ended up, becoming a deacon as well.
Wow.
And then my sister came. So it's just, God used me as a catalyst to kind of bring my family back to him. So like, I'm forever grateful for that.
Yeah.
And like I said, it wasn't, I don't know, but I think it was just those strong men I saw and how, it's like you see men and you're like, I want to be like them. Like these men, like never really seen them drink, like smoke. Now they may have did that in their younger days,
right.
but as like older men, they were like men of respect. Like they demanded respect.
Men of valor.
Yeah, straight up. Like I respected them. So I'm like, I want to be like them. And both of them go to church.
Yeah.
Every Sunday.
Hey, they
Right.
Certainly.
And, that's kind of my story. So what's yours, man? How did you get to know the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords? You know what I'm saying? Like the Prince of Peace.
Even the minister. I think so for me, man, it was grandma. It was grandma for sure.
Big mama, always.
You already know.
Big mama.
It was the fact that she took the time to so for me, she took the time to take us to church.
Okay.
I've probably been going to church my whole like since before I can remember.
Yeah.
And not by my own will, you just grandma's making sure all her grandkids.
You in this house, you going.
Hey, you in this house? You better be ready.
Yeah, you going.
It's as simple as that. She would take us to church, and then there came a season where she wasn't going as much. And if I remember correct, I think she was just taking care of our grandfather at the time. He was a war vet.
Respect.
But with that, she still had her friend Miss Audrey. So Miss Audrey, shout out to you if you ever see this. But Miss Audrey, like she would take us all to church, me and my brothers. She would come pick us up and then zip us down the street to church, and we would go to church. And it was great. It was a time, it was a bonding experiences. And there was a moment in time where grandma began to also like allow us to walk to church too, because we were like a mile and a half. It was walkable for kids, like, and so that's really how we got there. And I remember one Sunday sitting in church and they were talking about baptism. And baptism was happening and they were getting ready to do it. And I cannot explain what happened fully. And me and my brothers, we all went down and shared that we wanted to get baptized. And, they have like the little mic and they get a mic to the little kid. Why you want to get baptized? And what did I say? I think I said something like, I just want to be with Jesus or something like that. I think I said on the mic. I was 10 when I got baptized.
Yes, sir.
So it was an emotional and scary experience because, at that age, you're still very impressionable, still young. And I felt a tug when I was in church, when they asked if like anybody wanted to be baptized. So I went, get baptized, get dipped. It was me, my two brothers, another church friend we had. He was cool. It was about 4 of us. The 4 of us all got baptized together. we had to like change in this one back room at the church. It was almost like
You
a
already know.
closet almost.
Yep. Straight up.
Like a
Straight
walk-in,
up. That's
like
how
a
it
big
is.
walk-in closet. They gave us, I don't know if y'all, but in the Baptist church, they gave us these white robes.
Yep.
That we had to wear when we come.
Yep. Get that white robe.
Yeah, and our church had the little baptism pool like built into like the back of the pulpit, if you will. So it was an experience for sure. You know, we all got dipped, and then from there just continued to go to church. Definitely dealt with some ups and downs and some things that sort of led me away from God. But I was already trained in that way, right? I was already trained in the way that I would go as I came into adulthood. And then that turned into me like getting back to God. Because I wouldn't say I personally went away from him, but I would say more of the powers that be that had the authority to sort of
So God, I'll be back in a second.
Hey man, it's so hard not to act reckless, boy. Ooh, he was talking on that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was one of those
Shout out to Ye.
I don't know about that. But, you know, pray for Ye. Pray for Ye. But yeah, so you know, you steer away, you come back. I didn't really have very many men of God around me. I do believe my grandfather was, who was a war vet, was a man of honor, but he did lose his foot or a piece of his leg from like knee down due to the war. And again, naturally, as his health declined, grandma had to take care of him more, and I think that's what led to us. That's what led to her not being able to like again take us to Sundays, take us to school on Sundays, church on Sundays, Sunday school.
In Sunday school too.
Yeah, Sunday
you already
school.
know
That's what I was. Sunday school because we was in there. And then you know, like grandma had us in everything. I cannot sing, but I was in that choir.
Yeah, me too, man. I got pictures, man. I got pictures.
Yeah.
I was a praise dancer.
Oh, I don't know about that. Yeah. I ain't no praise dancer. But I was an usher. But I ain't know the praise.
Yeah, bro. The boys out here.
I ain't do that. I ain't. Was in a leotard.
Nah, not a leotard, but you don't have that little tight shirt on. Slacks, you know what I'm saying? Slacks and socks, you know what I'm saying?
But you got me beat, boy. I ain't do none of that. I came to Bible study, choir, usher board when we was on the ushers, and they was teaching us how to be ushers.
I was an usher too.
Like so that's as far as we went, and then. But yeah, God has been I feel like God's had a call and a tug on my life, my whole life, since I was a kid, that I don't have the words to explain what I felt in that moment when me and my brothers, we all got baptized, but I know that it was real because I can still feel that tug on my heart today. So that's where a lot of my faith stems. I didn't have a lot of men of God around me, but I know I had grandma. I had grandma for sure. I had Miss Audrey. Miss Audrey was rocking. We had the Sunday school teachers. We had the pastors. We had the deacons, ushers. We had all the people in the church. And yeah, I think that was pretty much the root of it. But again, I was trained up in the right way, so I'm here back.
But you know, it's interesting that. You know, one of the things about like grandparents, especially like grandmothers, grandfathers, especially like in the African American culture, is that like you have so many fond memories of them, like in church. Like I have so many memories of like my grandparents, like and funny things and just like things that would happen to make you just love them even more, like in church. Like I remember, you know, me being a deacon at the age of 18, you know, went through a lot of like, right, because they all older men. They in their 50s, 60s, some 80s, right?
Yeah, wow.
They ain't trying to hear nothing I gotta say.
Nothing.
And I remember like telling my granny, and she was like, who did what? like she about to jump on them. I'm like, well, I'm about to call them right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, Granny had my back.
I know Brother Jerry ain't said. I know Brother Jerry ain't.
Granny had my back, right? She was you know, so it's just like things like that. I think that's what we're missing too as like a culture is like that, those like elders who are like really I'm not saying you got to be like in church all the time, but just that strong spiritual rock that you can kind of lean and depend on.
Ooh, yes.
Like, I think that's what's missing in our culture is that it's like, you know, grandma and them, like that really had that, they had real faith because they had lived through Jim Crow,
Right.
segregation, like they lived through it. So they had nothing to hold on to but God.
Right.
You know, now we enjoying the fruits of their labor.
Right.
Right. And we want to turn our backs on God. The one, so, and that's why people always ask me, man, like, you know, you serving that white man's God and all that stuff. If it was good enough for my granny, and I saw how it impacted their life. Like my paternal grandparents, which is the ones I really knew, they lived long in terms of like my grandmother passed when I was 18. My grandfather passed when I was 25. Right. So I spent a lot of time with them. My other grandparents never knew my maternal grandmother, and my maternal grandfather passed when I was like 6 or 7. Right. So, you know, I knew him, but didn't have time. But yeah, my paternal grandparents, man, like they were not rich, but they like always had a home full of love. They always had something to eat.
Yeah.
And they always like made sure you try to put God first. Yeah. Like always. Like that was their main thing. And I'll never forget this about my grandmother. And like I didn't mention her, like, but she's a catalyst also. But
of course.
I'll never forget when my mother was sick with cancer. Like she stopped the whole family, and before we like prayed over our food, like she did this like dope prayer for my mom. You know what I'm saying? Like, and kind of like just pray, like took the lead. You know what I'm saying? That's what we missing. Like, is them elders be like, hey, like I know what's going on. Let me pull the whole entire family, Muslims, everybody, non-believers. We all gonna pray in Jesus' name. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I always remember that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, like coming to know Christ and the people who led me to Christ, like I'm forever indebted to them. Right. You know, because you know, the way life works, you just don't know how life will turn out if these small things didn't happen. Right. You know, like
small changes, right?
Like, yeah, like very minute, minor things can happen, and your life is completely different.
Alter the trajectory for sure. Yeah.
So
I think at this point in time, absolutely right. Like we don't have those rocks. We've lost who those people are in our lives, who are the rock that just can ground the family, can get the family back together, can get the family. And can be the person that people can go to. And
yeah, could granddad and grandma, they want to drink and get high too now.
Man, granddad.
Can we talk about it?
I mean, granddad and grandma,
I'm not mad at them, but you know what I'm
now.
saying?
They live in life is different.
No, but I remember when it felt like when my grandparents were grandparents, they wanted to be grandparents. Like it was a difference in terms of like I'm fine with getting older. I'm fine with being granny. I'm fine with being pop or pawpaw.
Right. Because there's a position of honor in it.
Yes. Like, but now it felt like grandma and them like, what's that? A baby boy? Mama got to have a life too. Like I'm right. Like I'm out here. I'm trying not to. And I think when you do that, right, it's fine. Like I'm not legalistic like that. But I think
it has ramifications.
But I think, and that's why you don't see the same respect either.
Hey, talk about that. You see, I was just better.
Yeah, like I respected my grandpa because I didn't see them acting crazy and partaking and doing stuff. They were held to. Now they had their flaws. They're human beings,
right? And it was like,
and maybe in their day when they were 30s, 40s, 50s, they were
exactly. Right? There was a trajectory that happened. But, you did the stuff when you was young. But and as you learned, and as I grew, when I was a child, I did
grandparents now at 68. We still turning up, and shamefully.
Depending on like
how
because if we're gonna be biblical, I guess we ain't supposed to be turning up. Like where that at in the Bible? Like so you can let that go altogether, but. We don't know where people's journeys have taken them.
Of course.
We don't know where God, what God is leading them through to bring them home to Him. So I want to be gracious as we talk about our elders. But I think you're absolutely correct in terms of not having those rocks for the family anymore, not having people who are just the spiritual strongholds. and there being a different level of respect at this point in time for the people who are still in place. Because strong people make easy times, and easy times don't make strong people, right? So the hard times that our grandparents went through they had to be strong. It was their only option. Now the luxuries and comforts that we're afforded now strip us of having to climb certain mountains, having to have the faith to climb a mountain, and only having the faith that when you get to the top, it's going to be what you think it is, right? So we are stripped of some of that, but even that, like I think I'll say this: when I did come to God, and I came to Him so young. But I do wish that there would have been, even now, like sort of like a level of mentor. I just wish somebody would have explained to me maybe how hard it is, like how it's a narrow path, like to really walk this walk correctly.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean?
For sure. Yeah. So I think we need to stress, like, being holy, like, is not a suggestion for the believer.
Ooh.
Right. And I think many times, and that's why I love my grandparents, because they were not perfect.
Right.
But you can't witness to somebody when you partaking or doing something that, you get what I'm saying? Like,
I can't be pulling up your cup. It's dark.
Right.
While I'm pulling up mine, trying to talk to you about,
like, darkness can't cast out darkness.
It showed
Only light can do that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So
that was the trajectory I was talking about. They went through their phases, and it's like they went through their phases and almost understood, like, that there was an endpoint, that holiness like isn't a suggestion. Like, so I'm gonna go through this. I'm young and dumb. I'm getting older. I got more responsibilities. Still a little dumb. Getting out of that, and then now I've transitioned to a space where the weight of, like, my family and the pressures of who they are to me and how they look up to me, like, it matters the type of example that I set. And I think you grow to that space as you mature through your life. And I think the times are different, so I do think we got to give them a little grace. Granddaddy wasn't scrolling on any I mean, grandmama wasn't getting 100,000 likes on a picture, right?
True.
Grandma wasn't.
True.
They didn't have to deal with that.
That's true.
So we definitely have our own struggles today.
When life was simpler, huh?
When life was, dog, it was much simpler when you felt like you got the baddest chick in your city and you like, oh, I'm ringing it up. That's wifey. That's a ring. We out the game.
And that's a topic for another day. But that's why a lot of people single because of technology. Where it used to be, you would marry or be with somebody in your vicinity, like in your community, like I did. I married a girl that went to my church. You know what I'm saying? Shot my shot. You know what I'm saying? She been hooked ever since. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I went trying to go all over the world, brother. Nah, find me somebody. She like me, I like her. Let's get it done.
Make it work. Oh man, that sounds so simple.
Yeah,
that sounds.
It can all be so simple.
You're right. You're right. This Negro. Look, I think God's call to all of us and His draw to all of us, and really how we got started with Him, just to bring this stuff full circle.
Bring it back.
Yes.
Because we all over the place. This could be how we came to Christ and just.
I wanted us to have
and just conversation.
Right. Because I wanted us to have a moment where we sort of discuss that. I think it's good foundational work for people to rock with us.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So
yeah, we ain't no holier than thou, holy rollers. We just trying to, learn together, bounce off of one another ideas and try to just kind of grow stronger as brothers in Christ, man. Like, that's what it's about. It's about learning and growing so that we could be those sages when, the time comes where we ain't still out here trying to be young. We accept, hey, I had my time.
Right.
I ain't dead. I'm still cool.
Right.
But, man, let me drop this wisdom off. And this is what I learned along the way.